As airlines struggle to return their fleet to the skies and the industry battles to restore confidence among travelers flying in an enclosed aircraft in the midst of the persisting COVID-19, just how easy or uninteresting is air travel at this time? This is the question Aviation this week poses to passengers coming into Nigeria, as various interest parties from aircraft manufacturers to airports step up campaigns to address safety concerns about the spread of the coronavirus. That's our main subject on the program. Plus, Israel places a mandatory week-long COVID-19 ban on flights in and out of that country to curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus. A warm welcome to the program. This is Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi.
COVID-19 has transformed the world of travel. From temperature checks to hand sanitizers at airports, social distancing among passengers, and cabin crew in masks, this is the new normal.
One of my closest friends is
Here at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, airlines have board messages encouraging online check-in, though quite a lot of passengers stick to the queue to check in or confirm their boarding status. Airports are a potential source of infection, with thousands of people passing through from all over the world. From the departure hall to the port of entry, where these passengers from a flight have just arrived and are submitting their COVID forms as part of procedures for entry. Traveling in the pandemic is no mean feat, as some passengers share their experience all the way from Brazil, where the COVID-19 virus is raging, and another from the United States.
No, those are the parts that makes traveling uninteresting now. One, the face masks create a whole lot of hurdles in breathing. You are just not comfortable, but you have to bear with it. Two, the social interaction that it had to take place, in flights. Exchanging information, ideas, and chatting with people from different walks of life, coming from different places, and good. All those ones are restricted or limited, not by the procedure, but by individual consciousness of the COVID. So that makes the journey a bit boring.
There was a social distancing inside the plane where there was a lot of space. It was not really easy, but it's just that we have to do it. There, the rate of COVID is very high.
For this other passenger, a necessary trip at this time can be very challenging.
Too much expenses, everything is very complicating. It's very complicating. Doing the test in Dubai, you go to hospital, you do the test. It's not free, you pay. Before coming back, when you get to the airport, you do another one. It to be 2 tests before traveling out from Dubai. I stay on my own. If I mistakenly touch things, I put sanitizer on my hands. That's all.
From Stockholm in Sweden to Nigeria, transits are unavoidable. Mr. Adewale shares the process of obtaining a COVID-19 PCR test from his originating country.
So, for you to travel now, so you need to go through a lot of process. Like you have to do your COVID-19 test, and you have to fill some forms, like to get your PR code with the Nigerian health something, you understand? So it's not easy. Like I left Stockholm, Sweden yesterday night. I almost missed my flight because I had to go through a lot of stress. I just want to plead to people, plead to Nigerians not to joke with it. This is a serious case. It's a serious matter. So we just pray to God that God should eradicate this disease for us once and for all.
Preventing the spread of COVID-19 is a shared responsibility. Millions of people are dependent on tourism for their livelihoods, but opening their doors puts them and their fellow citizens at risk. So if a country welcomes you, the decent thing to do is to comply with its requirement, not present it with a new outbreak.
Initially, they started with scheduling the number of days to come and number of passengers to carry, just to test run the airport post COVID. But with time, we were able to realize that we can handle as much passengers as we used to. Though even up to now, we're still not having enough as pre-COVID. Between September and December, we processed 704,097 departures. That is 704,000. Okay, departures. Then arrivals 696,361. We discovered that people were not really complying, and that's very dangerous for travel. And with the second wave coming in now, let me say, in a very bad way, the airport has to, like, okay, we need to enforce, we need to make sure that people do the right thing. So apart from the constant announcement, we now have signages are on ground already. Then we now have task force. We have a task force of senior officers per shift that go around to ensure that people use their face mask very well, not just put it in on the shin or whatever. You cover your nose and your mouth. We ensure that we're doing that. Then we ensure the social distancing. The markings are there and very well, they're still okay. And some of them, if simple, please use your face mask very well. If you do, nobody try. But if you refuse and you don't even have it around, then seize your ODC, and at least there's penalty for not complying. Everybody knows what is happening. That look, this second wave is coming, and we don't want the airport closed. So we have to do everything possible to ensure that people comply and do the right thing. So we've had meeting with the airlines, what is expected of each and every one of us. We've had meeting with the security agencies, that's immigration, customs, NDLA, portet, and everybody, just to ensure that our staff comply, passengers we deal with comply, and everybody takes responsibility for their action. So, and even the concessionaires, they were giving letters that look, this is what is expected of you, and this is what is expected of your passengers or your customers. Most of the things we put in place are working and they are okay. It's just getting people to comply.
Let's see how other airports around the world are ensuring the passengers are safe.
To ensure that travel is safe in the COVID-19 season, German airline Lufthansa started trialing rapid pre-flight coronavirus antigen tests on selected flights between Munich and Hamburg, which passengers will need to pass in order to fly. Only those testing negative or able to provide evidence of a negative test within the previous 48 hours will be allowed to board the test flights. The test itself takes 15 minutes, and passengers have been asked to arrive at the airport early to be processed. Even with a 100% negative, plane passengers will still have to adhere to safety regulations like face masks. Passengers on the first trial flight out of Munich were positive about Lufthansa's trial.
Das Angebot ist okay.
The offer is okay. Lufthansa has kept us informed. I got a call saying I should get to the airport a bit earlier as tests were being carried out. And when you get a negative result, and know that the other passengers are also negative, then it is a good feeling in the plane.
Lufthansa, which also tests its own cabin crew and pilots using the litmus test cartridges, will use the test for 2 daily flights between Munich and Hamburg to see how the test procedure can be included in the pre-flight routine.
You can see the test cartridge here with filter paper. And this is where the sample goes, which is then sucked in by the capillary force. If a line appears at the C, then the test has worked, as that is the control line. And if a line was to appear at the T, then the test will be positive. It can be read anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes before the color fades.
The pandemic has pushed the global aviation industry into its worst crisis, and a recovery to 2019 levels is not expected before 2025. Antigen tests give results much faster than the widely used PCR swab tests, which are done in a laboratory but can be less reliable. Lufthansa passengers willing to take this trial will receive the test free of charge.
Now to Cuba, where all inbound travelers have to provide proof of a negative test before departure, in addition to current screening upon arrival. Visitors have to take a test upon arrival at the airport and to isolate in their hotel until receiving the results 2 days later. Returning residents or those going to live in the community, like Cuban Americans going to stay with family, are required to take another test around 5 days later and to isolate until receiving the results of that second test. Now, all inbound travelers will also have to provide a certificate of a negative PCR test conducted in the 72 hours before arrival in Cuba. Cuba had earlier received kudos for successfully containing its coronavirus outbreak by isolating cases and suspected cases, contact tracing, and active monitoring of the population, in addition to deploying a partial lockdown. But like countries worldwide, it has to weigh the need to open up, especially in the face of its tourism-reliant economy, with the need to prevent the spread of the virus. Vaccine distribution is still in the news as Indonesia's state-owned vaccine manufacturer, Bio Farma, begins distributing a vaccine developed by Chinese pharmaceutical company Sinovac across its 34 provinces. Biopharma said the country has prepared some 10,000 medical facilities and over 40 port health offices to help distribute the Sinovac vaccine. All preparations have been made to ensure that the temperature of the entire cold chain transport process is maintained at between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius. The Health Ministry adds that Sinovac's vaccine has achieved satisfactory clinical trial results in Turkey and Brazil, and the results also match the third phase clinical trial results of the vaccine currently being conducted in Indonesia.
Welcome back. The COVID-19 virus is dealing a big blow to many nations. This time, Israel places a week-long mandatory ban on flights in and out of that country in a bid to curb the spread of the virus. That's a news flash.
The Nigerian Immigration Service Command at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport has been giving accounts of its activities in 2020. The boss of the command also praised airlines operating in and out of the airport for doing their due diligence on passengers traveling through the port.
I want to commend the airlines of this command. We have never had a reason where an aircraft depart here and the next day they bring back the person for the reason of not having visa. We don't have that. Total number of non-Nigerians that arrived, 159,950 in 2020. Total number of Nigerians departed, that departed this control post, is 312,639. Total number of non-Nigerians departed, 130,638. Total number of refused departure, 127.
Air Peace has announced that all its aircraft out for maintenance will return by February, and the airline will be reactivating its suspended schedule as well as launch new routes. The suspended routes to be resumed are Kano-Owerri Kano, Kano-Asaba Kano, and 2 others. The Chief Operating Officer of Air Peace, Oluwatoyin Olajide, in a statement stated that the planned launch of the new route shows the airline's commitment to meet the transportation needs of Nigerians while contributing to the nation's economic development. As global travel is changing, there is now an International Air Transport Association's travel pass. The pass enables passengers to create a digital passport to verify their pre-travel test or vaccination which meets the requirements of their destination. They will also be able to share their test and vaccination certificates with authorities and airlines to facilitate travel. The new app will also enable travelers to manage all travel documentation digitally and seamlessly throughout the travel experience. The IATA Travel Pass has been developed as 4 independent models that can interact with each other. Now to the United States, where United Airlines has released a mobile app that allows customers upload test results and vaccine records. The Travel Ready Center also lets flyers review COVID-19 requirements for their destinations, and starting in February, they will be able to schedule a COVID-19 test at one of more than 15,000 testing sites around the world and have results sent directly via the app to the United Airlines. In the months ahead, customers will also be able to check visa requirements for the countries they plan to visit. Now to Israel, where a mandatory week-long COVID-19 ban on flights in and out of the country goes into effect on the night of Monday, January 25. The ban on the flights will last till the end of January. The country's borders have largely been closed to foreigners during the pandemic, with only Israeli passport holders allowed entry.
Come back early because they closed the airport. So I immediately call my travel agent and change the booking, do the PCR testing in 3 hours, which is a lot of money, and here I am. That's what we can do.
The country has been under a third national lockdown since December 27. Critics say the government has mishandled the crisis, lacking a clear long-term strategy and allowing politics to cloud its decisions. Israel has the world's fastest vaccine distribution rate. With regular imports of Pfizer Incorporated's vaccines, it has administered at least 1 dose to more than 25% of its 9 million population. President Joe Biden will impose a ban on most non-U.S. citizens entering the country who have recently been in South Africa starting on Saturday, the 30th of January. This is in a bid to contain the spread of a new variant of COVID-19.
Let me be very clear. Things are going to continue to get worse before they get better. The memorial we held 2 nights ago will not be our last one, unfortunately.
Biden is also reimposing an entry ban on nearly all non-U.S. travelers who have been in Brazil, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and 26 countries in Europe that allow travel across open borders. On our last lap, let's see how a pilot who is out of job is taking to a new vocation.
Every morning,
Malaysian aircraft pilot Azrin Mohammed Zawawi dons his white captain's uniform and hat before heading to work. Not at the airport, but to a small noodle stall that he now runs in a suburb just outside the capital, Kuala Lumpur. His previous employer, Malindo Air, earlier this month announced that it had launched a retrenchment exercise affecting over 2,000 workers, including him. Deprived of a regular income, the father of four decided to start a food business a few weeks ago, selling Malaysian dishes at a small food stall that he has named Captain's Corner.
Need some income because I was retrenched by my previous company, and I planned with my wife, what should I do? I need to do something. So when I asked my wife and my mother-in-law and my father also, they told me, why don't we go for food business?
The business caught the attention of the Malaysian public after Azrin was photographed wearing his captain's uniform under a red apron, an image that quickly went viral on social media.
And after everything completed, and I told my wife, why don't you take my picture and we just post it in the Facebook to show to our friends that this will be my last wearing the pilot uniform. So okay, and then after I took a few pictures and we posted inside our Facebook, WhatsApp group, and then we are shocked because it went viral very fast.
Still, customers say the business venture is more than just a gimmick.
The main thing is the food must be good.
The main thing is the food must be good. It's not enough for the business to go viral. The food has to be good. I've eaten here twice. The first time, I brought my wife, and now I bring my friends. For the price, it is suitable, and the food tastes good.
Azrin says he hopes his experience can inspire others affected by the pandemic to seek out new sources of income.
Embrace the challenge and never give up, and always look forward. Do not look backward, always go forward. It's like flying the aircraft, we always move forward. Same goes to any other occupation. When you go for your first job, you start from zero, and then we need to learn until where you are now.
Although he's no longer flying, he believes nothing can hold him back, not even a global pandemic.
This is where we call it a day on the program. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next time, God's willing. I'm Bukola Joe Uketumbi.